Is joining us by Zoom, along with everybody else. So call the meeting to order. Can I get a motion to approve, the minutes of the previous meeting
I do.
with a correction by myself because I misquoted the income because we were projecting. I had indicated that we had total income for the year was 1,180,437, and the correct number is 1,142,127.11. So we'll just correct that in the minutes. Any other corrections?
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
All in favor?
Second.
Good. Thanks. There is no financial report overview. We are in transition with our accountant and who is becoming the town clerk. So we don't have a report this time. On to stewardship and property maintenance. Tim, do you have a report on West Neck? You have to unmute yourself. Unmute. Unmute. There you go.
Muted. The only thing I want to say in the public session is I missed the opportunity to do the winter wheat. So I think we'll be okay. So that's all I wanted to say about that. The crop should have been planted about a month ago, and I didn't get that done.
Did the field get plowed again, though?
Yeah, the field got plowed in the first or second week of November. So it was successful. And I should have gotten the winter crop in, but didn't do so. So
Just for the purpose of why we talk about this, we're attempting to eliminate the excessive amount of mugwort on that property so that we can get more native plants to sustain themselves there. So it's been a long and difficult process.
Anyway, I talked to Andy Sinesic, the weed specialist from Cornell, about it, and it's not a big deal. It's more about the possibility of soil blowing off in the winter on the neighbors.
Right.
But when you think about it, there are three sides of the preserve don't really have neighbors that would be affected. Maybe across the street, but they've got vegetation along their property. So I think we'll be okay.
Okay.
That's all I have for now.
I was over there at the property and I saw the flowers.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you, Chuck.
I went over to visit the property and I saw what had been done, a few weeks ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, look good.
Howard, you said you had a comment on Artist Lane?
Yes.
Good morning. Thank you. I'm Howard Johansson, the steward for Artist Lane. I walked the property, part of my duty as a steward for it. Two things. First of all, one of the signs that say emergency vehicles only was knocked down by somebody. So it has to be replaced. And I noticed that we got one sign up.
Yes.
The other signs we haven't got up.
Well, hopefully I'm meeting with Denise this morning, or this afternoon when we get out of here, and to figure out where to place those so they're ready to go in.
And I know you're working on getting the markings up property in because there's a lot of construction going on.
Yes.
Off of Menantic.
Yep.
So as soon as we can do that before the ground freezes too hard.
Yeah.
But that makes,
Actually, Chuck and I and Ken Lewis were over there the other day because we're also going to try to clear a lot of that Russian olive out of the lot 8 off of Menantic. So we were looking at the boundaries, and obviously the boundaries are pretty well marked because the surveys are there from the builder, so.
From the building's got
Yeah.
the work is started. That's all. Thank you.
Okay. We also did some invasive remediation on Tuttle Creek Preserve. Jessica, if you could put that up. That is not Tuttle Creek Preserve.
It's worse. It's like something.
Anyway, you can now see out to the water.
Just to pause for a second, Jess, it's not showing up on Zoom, the Zoom audience. Yep, we're good. Thank you.
Anyway, a lot of invasives were pulled out. We did open another view from the road as well. Actually, two more views from the road. Go ahead. And just an angle looking more toward the west. So I think it's just magnificent. It's a very special place. So on to item 5 on the agenda. The Shelter Island Arts Council requests to make a presentation this morning. Obviously, we have a lot of folks. Just a few preambles here. This situation is a little bit unique to the Community Preservation Fund. We are in an investigation and a listening period of time. There was some comments on Facebook that a decision was being made. We have had a number of different people who have come in with ideas for alternate things to do with the property besides just leaving it as a beautiful meadow, which it is, and a spectacular view to the Congdon Creek. So that is the process we are in. There is no vote by this board today. There is no presentation to the town board tomorrow or anytime in the near future. A few other comments just to be clear. Whatever happens on that property, because there's some discussion about a community garden. There was some comments about tennis courts. Zero of this can be funded by the community preservation. So whatever activity happens that's not directly related to the maintenance of the natural part of the property would get funded elsewhere. So again, a number of folks have come in with some ideas, and they're good ideas, and they may or may not happen, but they will be independently funded, just to be clear. There are very clear and stern regulations about what CPF can pay for, and we can't pay for renovating a house for an arts council. We can't pay for putting up a fence around a community garden, et cetera, et cetera. So those are all things that would have to be independently worked by the community group that may or may not have it happen. So without any other comments from me, June Shatkin has asked to speak first, and somebody else on her group will speak, and then we will listen to lots of comments.
Hi, everybody. Good morning. Thank you. Good morning. My name is June Shatkin. I'm an artist, I'm an arts teacher, and the co-founder of the Shelter Island Arts Center, which was incorporated into a 501c3 this year. I have 4 other board members. 2 of them are here: Susan Shroud, Tanya Abate, Catherine Corey is on Zoom, and Lori Dolphin is on Zoom. First of all, I want to thank each of you for what you do, the work that you do to preserve the beautiful properties on this island. They are such an inspiration to me personally as an artist and as a nature lover. Your work is so important and it's really, from the bottom of my heart, it's truly appreciated.
Thank you.
And I know it's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work.
It is a lot of work. Doesn't come easily. So thank you again. So my big question is, why do we need the arts? Why are they important? In my mind, the arts enrich our lives greatly. They inspire us, they touch our hearts, they widen our perspectives, they move us to tears and to laughter, and they help us appreciate beauty. In this room, we have an exhibit that is a great example of how art can enhance our lives. Before Amber suggested that we use this space generously for our art exhibits, the walls were pretty much kind of not that exciting, besides the symbol behind you. And now we've had 2 art exhibits. The second one was curated by Catherine Cunningham, and the first one was curated by our board. That was in September, October, November. And I hope everybody gets a chance to appreciate it. There are 5 different artists here today, represented today, some of whom I know and some of whom I've never met. So possibilities are kind of endless. So the other question is, why do we need an art center on Shelter Island? Since I arrived here in 2007, I was very aware of the abundance of creative people on this island. There are artists, there are writers, there are poets, there are filmmakers, there are gardeners, there are quilters, there are potters. The list just goes on, and you may be one of those people. So an art center can provide a place where creative people, like people I just mentioned, can gather to support each other, to collaborate, to inspire each other, to learn together, and to just enjoy and inspire each other. An art center also is a possibility, a place where workshops and classes are offered, and talks by other artists, writers, poets, to inspire people to help find what inspires them and what lights them up. Because a lot of people, everybody has some creative potential, and I think a lot of us don't get a chance to express it because we're busy with our lives and we don't address it. But an art center gives the opportunity for people to know that this is available and that is possible. I'm a big believer in something called synchronicity. You may be familiar with that term. I believe synchronicity is the occurrence of coincidences that happen for a specific reason at a certain time to certain people, to everybody, actually. We're open to it. And I think we're at a moment now where there's a synchronistic moment. We have a space, a building that's vacant on a property that you've recently purchased. And we have a very vibrant and vital plan of how to use it to the best ability for the entire community, not just a few people. And I'd like to pass the podium on to Catherine Quarry, who's on Zoom in California. And she's a member of our board who will continue to share the details of our proposal. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me? I'm dialing in from San Diego. Good. Okay. Excellent. Well, it's great to be with you this morning. And I'm just sad I'm not there in person, but I'm helping my mom move from Denver to Southern California. And we've been amidst the boxes right now. But on the upside, if the sun comes up during this call, you'll see her orange tree behind me filled with oranges, which is quite strange in December. But Anyway, moving into the presentation, thank you, June, so much for those words. If we could go to the first page of the PowerPoint. So this really reiterates what June was saying. The mission of the Shelter Island Arts Center is to provide a place for creation, community, and exploration through things such as small classes, open studio spaces. Artists could come and talk a little bit about their process, show us how it's done. The community can really form this in whatever shape they want it to be. So we're excited to embark on this nonprofit organization and trying to find a permanent home for it or a home for it. So if you could move to the next slide. When we embarked on this process, we didn't want it to just be what we wanted in the space. So we started reaching out in the summer out to the community members to ask them what they would like in an art center and would they go and is it interesting? Are we talking to ourselves or is this something that the community really would like to have? And we have gotten an incredibly enthusiastic, positive response to it. People love the idea. They have their own ideas. Most of our surveys that we've fielded to date have been with adults. And interestingly, adults of all artistic levels. We have professional all the way down to never picked up a paintbrush, but interested in trying artists, which is great. And that's the kind of population that we want to serve because that represents the artistic possibility of Shelter Island. There's all different levels of art happening here. And that's what you see on this slide. If you turn to the next slide, we asked them, would they use a center? When would they use it? For what purpose? And we found that this is very much a year-round opportunity. This is not something that felt seasonal to people. They would like to use it in the winter just as much as they would want to use it in the summer. We found that people were inclined to go once a week, which sort of spoke to the idea of weekly classes on a small scale. And there's interest throughout the day. So it's really, we got the sense of people want to drop by when they have time, when they're done with work or before work, sort of a drop by along those lines. And to that end, we asked people if they would want an open studio to go and create their own art amidst other people creating, which is such, if you've ever done that, it's such a delightful experience to sort of quietly create art together. So there was quite a bit of interest in that. So we were really buoyed up by the feedback we were getting. And if you could turn to the next slide. So we put forward a bunch of ideas of classes that we thought we could do at the center. And while there was particular interest in painting, watercolors, ceramics, you can see from this chart, there was interest really across the board in a lot of different forms of art, woodworking, etc. And our community is very creative because we got some fantastic write-in votes of art classes that others would want to either teach or attend, from fly fishing lures to jewelry making. And there was one that I had to look up. I can't see it because I'm on my cell phone, but so many different art forms are practiced on Shelter Island. So an art center would really be a place where that could all happen in community. So if you want to turn to the next page, we started previewing some of our classes, again, to just see how they landed with the community, if it worked, if we were thinking about it along the right lines. So we've had classes such as June's wonderful beginner watercolor classes, which have been fully subscribed and people are interested in taking it again, as well as Adam Bundy did a photography series of classes. And many of you know Adam. He's a celebrated Shelter Island photographer, and we were so delighted that he was interested in kind of sharing his perspectives and his skills. So it's a place where artists of all different media and experience can come and teach and share their knowledge. So that, if you could turn to the next page. I'm sorry that this is not terribly interactive with me on the phone, but we do what we can. So that turns to the part of the presentation that really talks about the property that is currently not the house on the property at Cartwright Road that is currently not occupied. We are, as June said, we think that there's a great opportunity, a great synchronicity in looking at that property as a potential place for an art center. We think an art center would be a lovely anchor tenant, or a group to occupy that space for three main reasons that really sync up with the mission of the Preservation Board. One, that it's really low impact use. It's an adaptive use of the space. We're not proposing major changes to it. And it's actually really quite well suited to an art center as it is today. We are just talking about the house and the garage as art center space. And so we would not in any way need to modify the meadow, the waterfront, the space that is currently a tennis court. Those could certainly be used for community gardens or whatever purpose others want to utilize those spaces for, in coordination with the board. So we're really talking about a small portion of that space that would be pretty low impact. Small art classes are, 8 to 10 people. So we're not talking about, large scale programming. The second reason is we can use ecologically sound practices. And I think it would be a phenomenal example of an art center that has, an ecological perspective. We can do that through how we choose and reuse and reduce our art supply usage. There are art supplies that are more organic or non-toxic, and we would choose those. You can reuse art supplies in a myriad ways. Found art is also beautiful. So we would be very conscious about saving clips of paper, saving paints, preserving what we have so that we can reuse it over and over. And that can create some amazing art. And also reducing the quantities that we use, making sure that we are very green in everything that we do from an energy usage and et cetera standpoint. So we think that that could be a great example of how to do art in a sound way ecologically. And third, as June mentioned, there are really significant community benefits. There's so much scientific research about how great art is for your brain, for your mood. And in those dark days of January, how nice would it be to get together in a room and do some sewing or watercolor? So those are the three main reasons that we think that an art center would be particularly well suited to this space. And if you turn to the next page, it gives you a visual of what we're talking about. So this is a bird's eye view of the property. You see the big meadow in the front off the road. The large brown sort of rectangle is a tennis court currently. And we wouldn't utilize that space for an art center in any way. And of course, there's the waterfront that we wouldn't be using other than to look out at it. The art center, we would propose using the two structures that are circled in red. So the house is closer to the water and the garage behind it. So that's really the footprint that we're talking about, the existing structures on the property. So if you could move to the next page, please. Thank you. Again, the existing structure is pretty well suited to artistic use. The floor plan on the top left is as it stands today, and the bottom right is what we are contemplating as a potential art space. And you'll see that there are two rooms that would be very well suited to studio space. You could even have the wet studio on the right side, which is where the kitchen currently is. So that would be watercolors or, painting, things that are a little bit messier and require a sink. There could be a studio on the other side that's more for, collaging, sewing, woodwork, etc. And there is space for meeting rooms in between and summer work out on the porch. So we would not have to change much about the structure. Things like opening the doorways a little bit wider so that they are, ADA accessible, potentially relocating a stairway so that, that would also be accessible. But it's a pretty minimalistic adaptation as far as we know thus far. So if you could move to the next page. As mentioned earlier, this is a property that would have to be funded by whatever organization, or the adaptation of the property would have to be funded by the organization that takes it on. So kudos to June. She's assembled a group of people who are longtime Shelter Islanders. I think I've been here the shortest, and we've been out on Silver Beach for 15 years. And my cohort, along with me, have been here longer. So we care a lot about Shelter Island. We have strong ties to the community. And we also have professional backgrounds that are relevant to sort of standing up and operating a nonprofit such as this that includes physical space. So it's been a delight to work with this team already, and we just want to expand and bring in more great thoughts and voices as we continue and grow. So if you could move to the next page. In order to fund something like this, and also continue to make it accessible to the community. And that's very much a goal. We want to have classes that are not expensive. They are truly available to everyone in the community who wishes to do them. We've determined that we really need to take on kind of a three-pronged funding approach. So participant fees that we would keep as low as we possibly could, such as class fees or workshop fees, and possibly a membership. We would need to do some fundraising, so within the community and outside of the community, to bring in some, operating dollars so that we could keep the lights on and hire teachers and et cetera. And also we would seek some grants. This is a unique opportunity in a relatively small community to put, an art center, a year-round art center in the community. And there are various organizations as well as family foundations that are interested in that kind of effort. So we would be seeking grants from those organizations. And I think we would have quite a strong case, which is great. So that would be work to come, and that would be a lot of work. But I've done a lot of fundraising, and it's kind of joyful work. So that is what we would do. And then on the next page, this shows some of the marketing vehicles that we would use to get the word out. We've built a website. We've done things like attend local events such as the Shelter Island Art Show and Craft Fair. We have partnered with the Historical Society. They have very, very graciously hosted our preview classes with Adam and with June. and they have been incredibly wonderful to work with and super partners, as well as Artsy. And all of the SIAC board members are members of Artsy as well. And we have had a couple of earned media pieces in the Shelter Island Reporter, which is quite wonderful to see. So we would get the word out. We would make sure to do what we could to get the word out to the community. So on the next page, we're really in the mode of thinking about our next steps. We would love to have a larger schedule of art classes as early as this summer and into the fall of 2026. In order to do that, we have to have a sense of where we're going to be, where our home will be, which is why we're so excited to talk to you all today and explore this as a possible opportunity. We also need to do some fundraising, marketing, and figuring out our class schedule. And those additional items really emanate from where we're going to be housed. That impacts how we fundraise, how we talk about the opportunities and the classes that we're able to offer. So on to the last slide. We are, again, so grateful to put this idea forward to you. We hope that the arts will live on this property. And we're excited to hear your thoughts, your feedback, your ideas, your questions. And again, it's been really a wonderful opportunity to get a chance to put this in front of you all, and also the community members who have come to hear this idea. So with that, I turn it back to you, to the board.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. I guess we'll open it up to some comments. I would appreciate if folks would keep the comments specific to this project and not talk about other things not related to this project. That would be helpful. Catherine has raised her hand.
I was first on the list, if you wouldn't
Oh,
mind.
I'm sorry. I didn't realize there was a list.
Yeah, there is. There's a sign-in list.
That's a sign.
And I just have a meeting I want to get in and out.
Okay.
Sure, go ahead.
I appreciate that. Sorry about that. I'll make it quick. Hi, Mike Gainer, 8 Cobbetts Lane. My questions are more procedural with respect to the Community Preservation Fund with respect to this transaction. As I think you might remember, the last time I appeared in front of this board to object to a transaction that you were involved in, members of the board took the documents that I presented to me and you threw them at me. That was on July 8th, 2024. Kathleen did that, you did that, Tui, as did you, Joe. I can pull it up on the video if you'd like. So I think you recall that. And so there's a lot of people who hold very strong opinions about this project right here, and I just want everybody to be aware of that type of behavior. I sit on all sorts of boards of directors for all sorts of technology companies. In my 40 years of being in business, I've never seen anybody do anything like that. And this is a very unique board. This isn't the Deer and Tick Committee. The last known audit for this board, you folks had $16 million of liquid assets that you're in charge. That's the last known audit from 2023 that you have published on your website. You have $16 million of liquid assets that you're responsible for. And so when I see people behave like that, I'm curious as to what some of their judgment might be, especially on a property like this. This property has been highly unusual. And you've put together initial statements on this that made it sound like you're in an exploratory period inside of this right now. I viewed a videotape that June Shatkin videoed back in September 4th of 2024, where Gordon Gooding, who spearheaded this transaction, toured the property with Michael Shatkin and Melina Weenie to talk about putting a performing arts center. And so now we're talking about that a year and a half later, about this property that the town paid $3.9 million for. Close to $250,000 for that property went into the pocket of Ween Realty inside of this thing. And so it's those sort of credibility issues. When people come here and they rely on this board, when a member of the community gets treated the way I got treated the last time I was in front of this board, when someone you don't care for, biases are a real problem inside of this community right now. Jerry Siller is out there complaining about biases. When you treat someone that you don't like that way, how do you treat people that you do like? How willing are you to bend over backwards to do things that other people might not agree with? Because I know there's a lot of people that don't want to see this. I particularly don't hold an opinion about an art center or not. I'm supportive of the arts, and I think it's great that members of the community are doing things like that. I'm very concerned about this board. There's been many transactions that have gone through here that are highly questionable. Your budget at points has exceeded the entire town budget. All the cops, all the highwaymen, all the snow plows, everything. You have an incredible charge here, and you need to take it very, very seriously. And so those were the extent of my concerns about this thing. If you're going to hear about this application, be transparent about all this stuff, because the minute you're not transparent, then everybody wants to know what's going on. Do you really have an open ear here about this use there, or is the fix already in? Because from my perspective, it looks like the fix is already in. When Gordon's having conversations with this organization a year and a half ago, and then you're saying that you're just going through an exploratory phase now after you already deployed $3.9 million of your money to go buy the thing, it doesn't really feel to me like this is an unbiased review of this applicant at this point. Those are my comments. Thank you.
Mike, it's Kathy with a C.
Got it.
Just before we keep going, someone has a Volvo parked in the parking lot behind the town clerk's office. It's making it very hard for trucks to get in and out. So if that happens to be you and your Volvo is parked at the exit, please move it. Thank you.
So I don't know if people would like to follow this list as a sign-in for order to speak. The next one is Karen Bennett. I don't know if Karen.
Was that it? I thought you said I could speak.
Well, I did, but then I got told.
And I got,
List.
yes, that's the sign.
Well, you're next, because Howard already spoke, so.
No, thank you, sir. I'm here to listen today.
Thank you.
All right, good morning.
Morning.
My name is Catherine Ann Cunningham, and I'd like to thank the CPF for purchasing the 7 South Cartwright Road as an incredibly beautiful parcel of real estate located in a rural AA zone neighborhood. I purchased my house in '92, and I'm a full-time resident of Shelter Island. I am a working artist, retired attorney, and most importantly, a Shelter Island community member. I am here today to oppose the proposal to create an art center in a small house which stands on the subject property, which is submitted by the SIAC. The proposal contravenes the purpose of purchasing a $4 million parcel with CPF monies. The purposes for the CPF acquired land set forth in those laws. The governing code is Article 50 and 64E of the town codes. The purpose of those laws of the CPF money is to acquire land set in those laws include preservation of open space, preservation of the aquifer, freshwater and saltwater marshes and wetlands. The goal of CPF fund pursuant to code is to implement a stewardship plan for the preservation of community character on an acquired property for the enjoyment of the whole community. The regulations, however, do not include the use of a structure on a property by a special interest group. The only exception is for buildings listed on the New York State Register of Historic Places and are protected under a town law or perhaps an accredited school. Contrary to the SIAC assertions that the center will not negatively impact the surrounding land, it will. The modest house cannot accommodate the amount of people and programs the SIAC champions. It would inevitably be deemed necessary to expand the building. The grounds at this time to do what they want to do will be disrupted for commercial septic systems. Construction trucks and equipment will traverse the land to modify the house and get it up to code and state regulations. An art center will use a lot of water, placing a strain on the aquifer. Public toilet facilities must be installed. Parking spaces and roads will have to be created. The property will therefore be developed. These three things that the proposal has, I looked at, and the ecological practices given by the SIAC are insufficient to protect the natural environment. Watercolor paints are toxic because of their metal pigments. Oil paints produce hazardous waste because of flammable solvents, which do not mix with water and contain toxic compounds that can leach into the soil and aquifer. Acrylic paints are the most contaminated because of microplastics, synthetic polymers, which form plastic particles that will wash down drains, bypass water treatment facilities, and enter our waterways and aquifer. Pottery making is also toxic due to the silica dust and heavy metals used in glazes. The Suffolk County DHS Article 2 requires art centers to comply with the Department of Health Services of Suffolk County for wastewater disposal. It governs the disposal of hazardous waste material for art centers. The center is required to have an approved potable water supply besides the sanitary disposal of waste. Specific permits may be required by the DHS, Department of Water Management, and the DEC. Federal OSHA workplace safety standards obtain, as well as occupancy limits and fire code. If there are classes for children under 12, the materials used must comply with the Consumer Product Safety Improvement Act. None of these requirements are addressed in the proposal. The SIAC states that it fills a need for the entire Shelter Island community, but no official town survey is offered. Finally, and most curiously, the written proposal includes a photo of the subject house. Above it is written, "The arts can live here." Under that, the following, they write, and then I will close. This was sent out to many people on the internet. I think it was a little bit misleading that perhaps this is a done deal. I don't know. They write, "Thanks to an extraordinary gift from the town of Shelter Island and the Community Preservation Fund, this charming house on Condon Creek will become the new home of the SIAC. Please join us as we build a place where the arts can live and thrive for all Shelter Island." I want to thank you for your time and listening to me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Connie Abate. You want to speak?
Very briefly, good morning.
Morning.
I'm a working artist, newly moved to Shelter Island 8 years ago. It's a wonderful, wonderful arts community that is at work here. And as a member of the board of the SIAC, I truly believe that we will serve the community well. That's a main objective, not only to work together, to collaborate together, but to serve the community. We have no plans to build. If there is any renovation to be done, it will be done on the inside of the house to make it more amenable to giving small classes. And we all work in many medias, and I guess we should all be concerned about the aquifers and the table water near our homes, but we will take measures to keep it safe for our community. So I plead to you to accept this as an art center. Thank you.
Thank you.
Joyce Bowditch, Bassman?
Yes, I've had. Get double to doing this. Off the top of chairs and people. Hi, many of you know me as Joy.
That makes it easy.
Yes.
I can't say that I just got here because my family came with the Sylvesters. So I have a great deal of interest in anything new being adjusted to our environment. And my husband and I have done a lot. My husband, Ed, as you know, is a marine biologist, many of you know. And I think this needs a lot more examination. I think there's many ways we can do artwork and not have to take over a building or take over a part of the area. I am one of those that want to keep Shelter Island as much the same as possible. I live in a very small house. We've done everything to keep our area, which is down there on Mananac Creek, where most of you know that, as minimal and a minimalistic approach. So I ask that a lot of thought be given to this, a lot of thought. I think everybody has a good idea. I understand the need for artists, but I would like to know what else has been explored besides this. We have the center that would certainly make it easy for school kids or whomever to get here. And part of it, you wouldn't have transportation or parking and all of that down in that area. So I'm just generalizing. I think this needs a lot more work. I believe this board will want to do that. And the idea that it's already decided really made me get up here. And it was documented. And I'm not picking on anybody. I think it needs a lot of work. And of course, I'm one of the ones to express, I think we have options that are available to us in the center. And that would make school kids and everybody easily, the elderly, come by bus up here for the food and whatever. I think you need to re-examine this and restructure it. And that's what I'm asking, please. Thank you for the time.
Marcia Bayard?
Yeah, I'm here, but I'm not.
Okay. Peter Wolder.
I think you're just looking at the sign.
I am, that's, well, that's,
No, I'm here to listen like.
okay. All right, who else would like to speak? Gentleman in the front row.
Yeah, if you don't know, my name's Andrew Clark. I live on Shelter Island my whole life. I live on 42 Congdon Road, which is a adjacent property to this discussed property, of 7 South Carver. There's a lot of issues that I have with this. I'm mostly against it because I don't believe that this property should have been bought because it's already been improved with a house and a tennis court and a paved driveway, which I'm not allowed to have at my property. So there's a lot of problems with it. What I would like to see happen with this property, and I did write a letter. I don't know if it got lost in the sauce because I had delivered it personally here on the day that was supposed to be this meeting, and it was canceled. They said the meeting was going to be, I don't know. Anyways, I'm guessing that it's not here because it wasn't read. So anyways, what I would like to see with this property is to go truly with what this is intended to be. You know, it's a preservation. So what I'd like to see, even though it's kind of going to cost, I'm assuming it's going to cost the town because I don't believe your organization will pay for this, but I'd like to see the house removed and the tennis court removed and the driveway removed because it's a problem, you know, whether it's insurance or, you know, all the houses on both sides are going to have to put up with, 20 cars a day going in and out as opposed to one car every 3 days that was there for the Josephsons. So anyways, I'm just here to say that I am against this proposal, and I don't have anything against art, love art, family's artists, but wrong place. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Hi, my name's Janine DePire. I'm a relatively new property owner in Shelter Island, and
I have to say that one of the things that really attracted me here is the artists. And I started renting quite a few years ago and became aware of the Artsy Weekend. And I support the idea that everything that is being said about preservation of property, I agree with entirely. I'm part of the Fresh Pond organization that's cleaning up the pond. I'm very conscious about ecology and preservation, but the quality of life matters enormously. And I've been recently taking one of the art classes that June Slapkin has been offering at the Historical Museum, and it's enriched my life incredibly. It's allowed me a sense of community that I haven't had before. I organized my whole life around being able to be there on Tuesday mornings. And I just think that it really is one of Shelter Island's beautiful offerings for people in terms of community and quality of life. So with full cognizance about everything that involves a decision like this, I think the small groups that can meet there and respect the property and really respect the ecology of the property would really be an asset to Shelter Island. So thank you.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I'm just learning more about all of this. I'm an artist. My name is Roz Diamond, and I have to agree with the last person who spoke that I think the arts are such an inspiration for community and for its liveliness. We have, even with we do have little artsy and this and that, and it's very hard to get these spaces to, the History Museum has been great about having us and other people. But I'm just, I respect all the issues that people are saying, and so it should be talked about more perhaps. But I'm just arguing for that SIAC is helped by all of us to somehow find a place somewhere. And it's been known to not just make a place, like another Hampton Superstar place, but the arts. I mean, our governor today is, our state is got all these new grants that are coming out for the arts right now. And it's amazing how much she is doing. And it's not to say that I'm just for Kathy, but I'm saying it's great for arts and for communities and to bring communities together. And that's what I love about this community is that we're people who come from the city, we're people who lived here since Sylvester Manor, and arts bring people together in a way that is a joyous thing. I mean, we might lose our newspaper. I think it's a way to bring people together in a very important way. So I hope we can work these things out. We live close by. I would love to, it seems that they are very intent, this group, on preserving and working with the town and the community to preserve the property. So with that in mind, I just say I'm very excited about it. I have no part in it. I have not been on this board. I know these people, but I just have not been involved in this. So I don't have a personal stake in it. But in loving Shelter Island, as much as I always love New York City, I love this in a totally different way. Such a unique space. I think we need this, and I'm supporting it.
Could I ask a question, please?
Where's that?
Who's that?
It's James.
Oh, yes, don't.
It's scary.
I think it's on the Zoom.
It's on Zoom, you can go.
Yeah, maybe next.
My name is Jeannie Wallace, and I have elected myself as a spokesperson for the animals of Shelter Island. They cannot speak for themselves. Their bodies are all over the roads. We're losing animals all the time. This is a most important piece of property for hawks, owls, turtles, moles, voles. These animals don't like lights. These animals don't like cars. And I do think that there are other places for artists to gather together. In fact, we have a lot of other places. And my heart just breaks for what we're doing to the animals on Shelter Island, between the fences and the privet hedges and the spraying and the driving too fast on the roads. let's start making wildlife corridors. And this very piece of property would be an excellent place to have a corridor that crosses Cartwright Road to the Murdoch property, et cetera, et cetera. So I would like Shelter Island to start looking at wildlife corridors. And this is wetlands. You're going to have septic systems. You're going to have lights. There'll be cars. As an owl flying around at night looking for something to eat, I would be very unhappy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, hi. This is Jim Pugh. I seem to be getting muted here, but I'm a next door neighbor to 7 South Cartwright, and I'm just curious what the nature of the gift from the town is to the SIAC.
I don't understand the question, Jim.
Well, it said there was a monetary gift from the town to SIAC. It said a gift from the town and the CPF. What is a gift from the town?
I can't speak for the town, although we have town reps here, but I can speak for the CPF. There's no gift has been given from CPF to the SIAC in any shape, manner, or form other than discussion.
I understand that, but the blurb beneath the picture of the house says there was a gift from the town of Shelter Island.
I think the implication, I can't speak for them, but I think that the implication is that the house as an opportunity, that's the gift. Not that a monetary, it's an esoteric gift, not a monetary gift. It's an opportunity.
And out of further curiosity, what funds are currently on hand by SIAC for this?
That's incorrect.
They have money. We don't have. Oh, you're asking about CPF money?
No.
No, I'm asking about SIAC money.
You have to ask SIAC.
I thought I was asking them here. I'm confused.
$15,000.
$15,000, Jim? That's what June said, if you didn't hear her.
Okay. Now, I don't hear any discussion here about the proposal that I made quite a number of months ago, but the beginning of last summer.
At the beginning of the session, I talked about just keeping the topic strictly to the presentation at hand, Shelter Island Arts Council.
Okay, I'm just mentioning that.
It is still in the consideration amongst the CPF options on the property, of which there aren't quite a few. So, well, there's not quite a few. There's a number.
But my thought again is that the SIAC makes the use of the property as a community kind of limited rather than expansive. And I would, my proposal is consistent with what you're trying to do here, but it is expansive. It's intended to involve the entire community, not just the artists, but also including artists. FYI.
Yep. Jim's proposal was for the community garden am I correct when saying the Service Berry model?
Yes. I mean, that's a wonderful treatise. It's a short read about development of exactly the kind of property, and in my opinion, that the CPF intends to have used, and how they intend to have it used. It really is a blueprint for use of these properties, and it's a remarkable book. The author is the lady who wrote Braiding Sweetgrass, which you're probably more familiar with. Regarding indigenous natives of the United States and utilization of certain of their practices to preserve property and traditions. And if anybody wants a copy of the Service Berry, I'll be happy to give you a copy of it if you want to contact me.
Okay, any other comments?
Yes.
Steve?
Good morning, Stephen Jacobs. First, I want to applaud this board and the town board for the purchase of this property. It's a magnificent property, and it spares us the nightmare of what happened to St. Gabe's. I am, in a lot of ways, a supporter of the arts. I don't need to be convinced that the arts are important, vital, friends who are artists, some of whom are here, own lots of art, including from Island Artists. I think the idea of an art center is attractive, but I have concerns about this particular proposal. The proposal seems to me to raise at least 4 separate and independent issues. I only want to very briefly focus on one and then identify the others. The one I want to focus on is whether the use of this property is in fact permissible. In a prior meeting, I went back last night and listened to the relevant portions of the prior meeting. It was suggested that if it's, quote, community oriented, it's acceptable. Respectfully, it's not as simple as that. I think everybody agrees that the governing law is 64E of the state town law. And Section 4 of that defines preservation of community character. And CPF money, the goal is all linked to community character. The particular section I referenced cites specific examples of community character. It starts with A, establishment of parks, nature preserves, or recreation areas. And it goes on all the way, I'm certainly not going to read all of these, to P. And then it has something of a catch-all. Preservation of community character shall also include the protection and improvement of the quality of all water resources. Nothing that I see in this list is connected to an art center. And I would strongly urge that if it has not already been done or is not in the process of being done, that the board get a legal opinion as to whether or not this would be a permitted use. That could presumably come either from, I know you have your own council. I know the statute talks about regional community fund council, and also talks about how opinions from that council need to be publicized, posted on the website. And I just think there's a crying need for that, because without knowing that this is permissible, respectfully, I think everybody's wasting a lot of time. If in fact there is a credible legal opinion that this is a permissible use, then there are at least 3 additional issues, which I'll just identify, but not really get into. Some of them have been touched on by some of the prior speakers. One is this an appropriate use for this site, given use of toxic chemicals, traffic, neighbors, whatever? Another would be, is this the most appropriate permissible use for this site? I know there have been other suggestions, tennis, gardens, whatever. So that's an obvious other issue. Finally, last but definitely not least, is what would be the town's responsibility, its obligations, and its exposure? And to what extent should the town feel comfortable relying on contractual obligations that it might get from what is admittedly a fledgling startup with currently very little assets? So I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Any other comments? In the back. Oh, gentleman in front.
Steve and I live on Cartwright Road, and we knew Jack and Magda, and they'd be thrilled that this property was bought for the idea of preservation. Leave it alone. You don't need an art center. You don't need a town dock. I've heard all kinds of things. Just leave the property alone. Preserve it. We live on a piece of property that borders Mashonack, and we constantly watch deer, like Gene says, our wildlife
on the island has to be helped too. We constantly watch deer, the geese. We have geese, we have turkeys. They go from our property across the people, the property next to us, and go on to Josephson's property. So it is it's an animal reserve. There's a lot of wildlife that lives on that piece of property. I don't know what you're gonna do with the house. I don't think we need new tennis courts on the island. You could take them down, but preserve that piece of property, leave it alone. I don't have anything against the arts. I think it's a great thing, but I don't think it belongs there. Thank you. Thank you. That's my dagger.
I hope you agree with us.
Hi, I'm Steve Lennox. I've lived myself around all my life. I've lived on our property for the last 70-some years. Jack Josephson has been there for many, 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 many years, and his wife. I've taken care of the property, the landscaping, but that place has problems. The sewerage is down towards Conduit Creek, very, very close. It's gonna have to be taken out of there because it's too close. It's outdated. You're gonna have to have all these new sewerage things up on higher ground, and that's gonna cost you probably about, with this new sewerage thing, about $60,000. Anybody ready to do that? Probably not. The building itself, I've been in and out of building, I've been caretaker there, been down cellar. The place is not livable. It's not inhabitable. I talked to a carpenter about it who worked there as a carpenter, and he told me, he said, Stevie, that place is a tear down. So where are you gonna go from there? It's gonna cost you a lot of money. And like my wife says, that the traffic through there with the animals out of Mashawick and stuff is just fantastic. And with the water quality the way it is, I think it should be left with the 2% money and leave it exactly the way it is. Thank you.
Anybody else? Gentleman in the back.
Hi, Christine. Just one thing that comes to my mind is that it's a zone AA property, which is residential. That's the strictest residential zone on Shelter Island. To insert a commercial use here, you're gonna have to probably minimum site plan. You're gonna need Department of Health. You're gonna need a lot of scrutiny, the zoning board of appeals, all these things. I think, AA residential zone on Shelter Island should be left pristine and not have something commercial inserted into this zoning area. A group of people that want to put together a community center basically like this, they can fundraise. If there's enough interest in it, they can purchase a piece of property in a conforming zoning, and then they can go ahead and build what they'd like to build and do it in whatever corporate way that fits their agenda. But this is not the spot.
Any other comments? Anybody on Zoom have a comment?
You?
Hi, Pam.
Good morning, everyone. I would like to support the idea that this does need to be reviewed by the zoning board because it's in AA residential. They do have the criteria, some of the criteria that Mr. Jacobs just mentioned about permissible uses in the area need to be investigated. It is a very pristine piece of property, and I recall when you decided to make this purchase, there was controversy over that house. Oh, would it be a theater? Would it be a community center for the arts, as these folks are proposing now? I agree that this house should just be torn down. It's too much of a controversy, and you can have all other kinds of people now making proposals for intended use, and it would certainly need site plan review. It would certainly need review from the Suffolk County Department of Health to do any kind of renovations to it. And I think whoever, it's a wildlife corridor. I think you've heard a lot from the people in town here about their concerns on the property. And as a preserve, the building should come down. The tennis court should be removed and the asphalt driveway or whatever driveway is there also should be removed. I have to support Andy Clark on that. I hope you take this into strict consideration. I'm sorry that in the beginning it really was controversial because there was a building on it. And we've also heard about, putting a kayak dock there and stuff. No, the idea of preservation and conservation and understanding that this could actually be a place to put an oyster reef there. Seems to me it's a perfect opportunity to do something like that that would benefit the water quality and the environment for Shelter Island and be a public benefit to all. And I appreciate your time. Have a wonderful day.
Thanks, Pam.
Thank you, Pam.
Somebody else, I can't read the name.
John Stoll.
Hi, can you
John?
hear me?
Yep.
Okay, so I'm gonna touch mainly on this from the financial perspective. Many other speakers already covered other grounds. Basically, this will cost hundreds of thousands or millions to renovate this house and adapt it to the use of Shelter Island Art Council. And then there will be operating costs. No doubt there will be some staff to manage this. There will be utilities, insurance, heating, landscaping, So, his Shelter Island Arts Council says it will fundraise. The sources of this will be fundraising, participant fees, and grants. Well, this is all good, but sooner or later, this organization will come to the town and somehow ask for taxpayers' money to support their pet project. Okay, I'm just gonna use the example of Historical Society, which started with the good intentions. They raised a lot of funds. They even bought their own property. They were running it for a while, fundraising, and then converted themselves to the History Museum, and then was given them a right to put forward the referendum to hoist the operating costs of their pet project on taxpayers. Okay, fortunately, the taxpayers, but that time kind of wisened up and resoundingly defeated this proposal. Okay, but other proposals like this got through. For example, the library, $10 million library expansion. I've just gotten my tax bill for next year, and I see that my tax bill related to the library doubled, and that's going to be for the next 30 years of the life of this financing, if I remember correctly. There are many other special interest groups that are lining up every month for something to fund by taxpayers. Okay. Recently there was a playground for $140,000. That's one of the town board members was quoted as thinking this is the good use of taxpayers' money. There's a $4.4 million court expansion, where only ADA access ramp was needed. But why not just expand the court, which is used twice a month while we're at it? There's another group that's pushing Olympic size year-round pool. No doubt at taxpayers' expenses. Now there's the Art Council, and it's going on and on and on and on. And eventually this all ends up with the taxpayers, okay? So I would just like to repeat several people that suggest, basically add my voice to the several people that already suggested this, Andy Clark, Jim Pugh, other Pam, that basically what should happen here is to send bulldozer there as soon as possible, take out that structure, take out the tennis court, and so forth. Revert this property to preservation mode, I think would be excellent. And then for this body, the Community Preservation Fund, I would like to appeal that you stop acquiring properties which are a Trojan horse to the taxpayers' pockets. Or if you must acquire those properties, then send the bulldozer there right away and revert them to the preservation mode. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments?
If you want the artwork
Why not put it in the center so it's available for everybody?
Put it in with the library.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many other places here.
We got it. Oh, so Suzanne.
Yes, hi. I agree with Jan and Andy and so many others who all recognize this as a pristine wildlife area. The island has been losing so much to development. And as much as I appreciate the arts, I'm an artist. I have many artist friends on the island. An art center could be really wonderful in the center of town, but not here. I feel really passionate about protecting this land. You know, I see fox going through there, and we need to protect what we have. It's going to be gone. And then what? So I'm asking if this board has considered what this property could or should look like in 25 or 50 years. You know, when we're no longer here and the next generation has it, what is it going to be? Is it going to be still beautiful land and maybe pollinator gardens and trees? Or are there going to be, you know, roads that then have to be, you know, widened and septic systems? The fact that this is even being considered under the realm of preservation doesn't make any sense to me at all. That's all.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments? Nicole?
I swore I wasn't gonna
Yeah.
do this.
Right.
And I'm really not gonna talk about the art center. I'm gonna talk about what was said by this community. I think everybody gave an opinion, gave a very interesting opinion, and that was, why not the center? And the center lingers very much outside of the context of this board's purview, but this is a very public presentation and a very large-scale problem that the island faces. There is no center. There's no viable real estate for startup businesses. There's no viable real estate for startup institutions that want to provide a resource to the community and fund it. Shelter Island has approximately a third of its real estate in open space, which is a wonderful thing. We had comments about the legality of what can be done on open space. And the presenter at that time said recreation. I suggest that we broaden our view of recreation beyond tennis courts and baseball fields and recognize that recreation comes in a variety of forms. And it's simply the island does not have the ability in terms of its real estate, and it's not the burden of this board, but it's the burden of the island at large. It's the burden of the comprehensive plan. It's the burden of the board that will ultimately make a decision about this property, to think the large picture about that comment that keeps coming up over and over again, put it in the center. Well, there is no viable center when it comes to available real estate and commercial property. That's a bigger picture than where you put an art center and what constitutes recreation in open space. I also put forth that we have a wonderful asset with regard to the ability to take 2% money and buy land. And we've been extremely successful at it. And possibly the next frontier without harming the animals and without harming the natural environment is to put some of that land to favorable use with regard to the broader term of recreation, what that means. I venture to say that we've done a very good job on preserving land. Let's make that land that we preserve more approachable by the community at large for many of the functions that we struggle with
pertaining to community assets and facilities. Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay. Old business, any old business? New business? I make a motion, we close the meeting. Thank you. And go to executive session. Thank you for every presenter. Your opinions are important.